Have you ever had a moment on the court where you just knew where the ball was going or felt totally thrown off and didn't know why? That's not just skill or luck, that's energy. We're diving in today into the unseen layer that impacts everything, energy. It's what fuels us, connects us, and sometimes throws us off balance. Whether you're playing pickleball, navigating a relationship, or simply trying to stay grounded in a noisy, chaotic world, understanding how energy moves through and around you can be a total game changer. I'm joined by a truly gifted guest who will help us explore this deeper side of connection and presence. And she's also sharing a special code just for you that unlocks access to an experience you won't want to miss. So make sure you listen all the way through to the end. This one is heart-opening, it's practical, and it's a little magical too. So let's get into it. This is the Pickleball and Partnership Podcast, the place to talk about building better connections with your partner, learning how to communicate with each other, and how to inject fun into your relationship, all through the game of pickleball. If that sounds like your cup of tea, pull up a chair, grab your paddle, and join me, your host, Charlotte Jukes, for Pickleball and Partnership. I am so excited today to be joined by Siri Baruc Thornton. She is a Reiki Master Teacher, Transformational Breathwork facilitator, Akashic Record guide, and host of the top 3% globally ranked podcast, The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. With over 26 years of experience, Siri helps spiritual entrepreneurs, mothers, and creatives reclaim their energy, reconnect with their truth, and embody their gifts fully, one breath at a time. Through her work at Sage and Blush Wellness, Siri weaves energy healing, storytelling, and embodied spirituality into powerful experiences that help people expand their capacity to feel good and to live, lead, and create from that place. Oh my goodness, I love that. Welcome, Siri.
Thank you. I love your energy and your enthusiasm. What a beautiful introduction.
It's funny because I think that was one thing that I was attracted to you from the beginning is your energy. You have this beautiful smiling face, and I know for listeners, they can't see that.
Feel it. They feel
They
it.
will feel it. They will definitely feel it. So, Siri, tell us a little bit about yourself. I am intrigued by your name, if you care to share that and who you are.
Oh, thank you so much. My name was given to me by a yogi in the Sikh Kundalini yoga ashram that I was born in at home in the ashram. And Siri is an Indian Sanskrit name. It means great. I was given a choice when we left the ashram, the commune, when I was like 2 or 3, to be named Sarah or something like that. And I apparently wanted to keep Siri. Not knowing that years later, Siri would become our iPhone pal. And of course, I have to tell people, like, put your phone in another room when I'm doing interviews if you don't want somebody else talking to you as well. So it's become a thing. But I will say that I don't have to explain how to say my name as often as I used to. So there's that. There's that.
Wow, that's so fascinating. So it sounds like, and just explain for me so that our listeners really understand, you were living in an ashram?
Yeah. So it was a group of, gosh, I don't even know how many people, but let's just say maybe 100 at the most, maybe less. I need to ask my parents that. Dedicated yogis that were in a very strict kind of spiritual community. And did yoga and read sutras and chanted and prayed and then worked in the community together. Just imagine if you went to a yoga class and then you started going to that yoga class every single day, and then a bunch of the people in the yoga class were like, let's all live together and be really strict about being yogis.
And it sounds like that's really impacted your life now with being the Reiki master and how you're moving forward in life now.
Yeah, it's an interesting beginning because I don't really know much about it other than what I've been told because we left when I was so young. But I will say that my parents were always seekers. So they always were on a spiritual path. My dad kind of went into the Hollywood entertainment producing and distributing Hollywood film direction for many years, but he still kind of did yoga and he still studied meditation and mindfulness along the way. But my mom was really a big influence because I mostly lived with my mom. And she became a Reiki master because she had these debilitating migraine headaches and just was mostly in bed. And so she started practicing Reiki on me. And then that, as an angry teenager, was melting my heart open. And I just really loved it ultimately and started teaching with her, alongside her. And then eventually she was teaching alongside me in the classes I would lead eventually. And so that was really a beautiful thing for me to witness close up from home, you know, to have that be such an integral part of my growing up. And it always was with me. And it's always been a way that I've been able to serve others spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's a beautiful gift to be able to have a superpower, which we all have this superpower, to allow people to come into a space of homeostasis so that anything spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically that they're needing can come to them from their own authority, from their own body's wisdom.
I love that you say that because I think maybe for people listening who are thinking, oh, maybe this episode is not for me because we're going down another route. But I think you bring up a great point that we all have this within us. We all have this inner knowing, and it is accessible to everybody. I think as children, we really feel that we are in tune with that. And then for so many different reasons throughout our life, we lose touch and we start to second guess ourselves. And so I love that you said that. Yes, keep listening. There is a lot more juiciness here. And of course, we have to mention pickleball because this is pickleball and partnership, whether that's with somebody you're playing with or it's partnership with yourself. But I know you reached out to me and said, I'm going to try pickleball. I'm going to play it. Have you?
I've only been sending you videos of pickleball toys and games that I found at Michael's. There is literally an entire section at Michael's craft store. So Michael's is pretty much everywhere, right? Do you guys have Michael's in Canada?
We do, yes.
Okay. If you go into Michael's right now, the whole checkout line is all pickleball, like keychains and stickers and little pads and everything you can imagine, notebooks. It is a thing. And my dad is a pickleball player and loves it. Okay, so do I get a little free pass?
You definitely have a free pass. There's definitely that connection there. I love all those photos and videos you sent me, and I'm going to go and check that out. And maybe Michael's could sponsor this podcast too. That would be fun.
Yeah. Love that. I will.
I really would encourage you to, just because I know you will love it. Everybody will love it. Everybody should try it. Try it once. If it's not for you, that's okay.
I like ping pong, which is like a minier version.
You know, ping pong helps. Ping pong, badminton, tennis, and chess.
I do like badminton.
So it's all a combination of those. And then before we move into, I have some pickleball energy questions that I really want to get your perspective on. But I have to talk about the link. You have a link with Canada, which is where I am, but you also have a link with England, which is where I'm from. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yes. So I grew up just under Quebec. So a lot of my friends would just for fun, like go up into Quebec when we were growing up. And then when I was in my 20s, I was in Saskatchewan and Regina filming because I was a professional actor most of my life. And then I also filmed in Langley, which is outside of Vancouver, as well as in Vancouver. So several times I've filmed in Canada, and all of my Canadian friends that are, whether they're in the film business or not in the film business, it is so true, for lack of a better word, cliche, that Canadians are genuinely friendly people, just nice people. That has been my experience across the board. I don't think I've met a not nice Canadian ever. So now I live 5 hours south of Vancouver. So I'm just outside of Portland in Camas, Washington. And then in terms of the connection to England, my husband that I've been with for almost 17 years is British and grew up there. And we've spent so many trips going to Richmond outside of London and lots of time in London. And now his mom is in a town called Taplow.
We're connected on so many more ways than we even realize. So I want to talk a little bit about, well, I want to talk a lot about your experience and what you're doing right now. But I was thinking about this, and I think there are moments when I'm playing pickleball and I find myself, I'm not thinking, I'm just moving. It's like my body knows what to do before my conscious brain catches up with it. It's almost like that animal instinct, and there's this momentum, and I'm in the zone, and it feels such a sacred place to be. And I may get to the end of the point, whether I've won it or not, however it plays out, and I just feel this incredible sense of wow, amazement that I just did that. And I didn't have to think about it. I didn't second guess myself. I was just in the flow. So I'm wondering if you have experienced that same kind of flow when you're practicing Reiki, and what does that version of the zone look like in energy work?
I love that you have that experience, Charlotte, of just being completely in flow with pickleball. And I can see why you have such a passion for it, because I think that anything that gets us completely out of our head and embodied is one of the best places for us to possibly be our most authentic self, our most creative self, our most aligned self, our most joyful self, our most expansive self. And all the modalities that I teach are also always to get into that exact same feeling that you feel when you're playing pickleball, that embodied, aligned, you're sourced by source in a sense, because you're not strategizing it from your head. You're strategizing, well, not at all necessarily, but I imagine that it's all instinct. And I think that is primal and animalistic. And so I'll say my favorite modality along with Reiki is breathwork. So both of those things and the Akashic all bring us into a place of flow, just like what you're talking about, that embodied flow, that wisdom of something higher. So it's like a simultaneity of embodied wisdom and then connection to something greater than ourselves. And I think that's what we all want. However our inroad is, whether it's pickleball, which, you know, my dad's a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, mindfulness teacher. He's taken my Reiki classes. He's taken my breathwork classes. He's a beautiful yogi person, loves pickleball too. And I think it is because it's just this energy of also reciprocity, of like give and take. So I'll just focus on Reiki for a second. The beautiful thing about Reiki is that we're not trying to manipulate anything as a Reiki practitioner. And then as the recipient cells recognize this universal life force flow energy, this unconditional love energy. The cells actually recognize it. And then they relax and they open. And the recipient actually draws in the energy through the hands of the practitioner. But it's not the practitioner's healing energy or life force energy actually that they're drawing in. The practitioner is just the conduit, just the crystal for that higher source energy, right? So the higher source that is just being activated and flowing through down the crown, down the third eye, down the throat, into the heart, out the extension of the heart, down the arms and through the hands, into the recipient's cells. Those cells open up, they receive in exactly as much as they need of that beautiful life force, unconditional love energy. And then there's an intelligence that the body marshals this intelligence. Just like if say you have a backache from playing sports and you take an Advil, you don't tell the Advil, here's where the pain is. It has an intelligence and it knows where to go. So same with Reiki, is this natural system of energy healing. It has an intelligence and the body knows exactly where to tell it to go. The other thing that I think you'll like is this visual analogy is imagine 7 cups, right? And those are your 7 energy centers or chakras. And say one of those cups is representing an energy center and it's depleted. So there's not a lot of water in it. The water is the energy. There's another energy center, another cup that's just overflowing. It's overstimulated. This is another area of your body. What the Reiki does is it sends messages to the body to communicate with itself. So it can say, oh, here's some extra water over here. This area needs it. And so then the messages will send the water down to the depleted area. And so there's less water in the overflow and there's more in the depleted area. And all of a sudden we have what's called homeostasis. That homeostasis allows the body mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically to do whatever it needs to do at its optimal state. So if it needs to all of a sudden send extra blood cells and energy to a certain area, like you've hurt your knee, then that's where that energy is going to flow and go. If there's a spiritual or psychic energy or block, or somebody else's energy has come into the field and stuck there, it will just naturally start to emanate your energetic field more powerfully in that area and clear it out. And this is the beautiful thing, Charlotte, without, like you're talking about, there's no manipulation or strategy. It's just happening. The beautiful thing about Reiki is there's no manipulation with it. So it's just naturally going to occur. So when you see people kind of like doing quotes energy work and they're like picking things off of people, that's actually not traditional Dr. Mikao Usui Reiki. That is something else. But it's because that's like someone analyzing and then like manipulating their energetic field and deciding. But with Reiki, it's so zen. It's just like, I am the conduit. I have pure, clear intentions. I say my prayer. I invoke this Reiki master lineage of teachers that have had thousands of years of relaying this energy and teaching this energy and passing this energy down. I invoke their wisdom, their energy, and it just comes through. And anyone can do this. And we all already kind of do it anyway. It's just we don't necessarily call it Reiki. So it's just a matter of having the curiosity and the intention and then taking a class from someone you trust.
I love the idea of homeostasis. As a registered nurse for 37 years, I get the homeostasis. And I think it's interesting that we can buy into the physical aspect of this. We all understand you get a cut or a broken bone and the body repairs itself. And we accept that. What we often have more difficulty accepting that it happens on an energetic level as well. But the body really does have this innate intelligence. And I'm visualizing you as this amazing vessel that is channeling energy from source, and that the person that you are supporting, absorbing that energy into their cells, which have an intelligence of their own and know exactly what to do with that energy. Oh, I just,
Yes.
delicious.
Exactly. And it recognizes it, which is so beautiful. Yeah, I love that you shared about being a nurse because we're just getting to know each other today a little bit deeper. And energetically, I feel like we're soul sisters. But that's beautiful because I was so attracted to my Reiki Master teacher that taught me second and third and how to teach other people to be Reiki masters, this woman, Libby Barnett, because it's not woo, her approach. It is very practical. And her book, Reiki Energy Medicine, which I love and which is why I chose her as my Reiki master, is all about integrating Reiki into hospitals, hospice, and home. All about caregivers, nurses in particular, need this first and foremost for themselves because caretakers need caretakers. Space holders need space holders. But also because simultaneously, whilst you're laying a hand just gently in a safe way on someone's shoulder or on their arm or holding their hand because maybe they don't have anyone else to hold them in that moment. I mean, especially during COVID, right? Whilst you're doing that and offering them comfort, you're receiving it. You can't give Reiki without receiving it. Isn't that beautiful?
Gives me the chills as you say that. And I think the more we can open ourselves up to receive, because I think you've hit the nail on the head. Caregivers, nurses, a lot of us, the number twos in the Enneagram, we're helpers, we're carers, and we forget how to receive. I want to bring up intuition again. I know we touched on it, but I know this is something that we all have. And I know this because from a practical perspective, I've studied for 10 years now, and I have realized that I can tap back into my intuition. It always makes me think of being a little girl and going to the bottom of the garden and talking to the fairies or connecting with
Oh
that
my God.
magic, whatever that was. And we've so lost that. And that makes me sad in a way. But I feel as though I'm on a mission, perhaps, to really let people know that we each have this amazing ability to pick up on information, and all the information is out there. And I can only speak from being a woman, but I think we get that gut instinct. We know when something is off. It doesn't feel safe. We shouldn't be in a certain situation. And if I can also bring it back to the pickleball court as well, I've been in situations many times, I was last night, where we played and the score was so close and I just felt that tension in my body. And I had to really remind myself, take a breath, tune back into my senses, touch my paddle, feel the sun on my skin, really absorb what's going on around me, what's there in the environment that can nourish me, reset myself, take a breath, and then ground myself. Sometimes I know where the ball is going, or I know what my partner is going to do. I have this real sense of what's going to happen next. So when you're working with somebody energetically, is there a similar sense of intuitive guidance? You're receiving information before it arrives, perhaps logically?
Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I love this. So just imagining you playing pickleball just makes me feel so joyful in myself and so dropped in. That's first of all. Second of all, you're reminding me of these moments when I've played other quote sports. So mini golf we played recently, and it is so spiritual. I'm not a sports person, I'm a theater kid, but when I've played sports, it is such a spiritual act because getting in that alignment of, needing to get your putter ready and then getting the ball into the hole, when I do well, it's because I am in a meditative state. I am at one with the ball. I'm talking to God. I am just visualizing the ball going in, right? And then when I've played archery in the past, and there's this really fun video where my husband was videoing me. We were in Lake Arrowhead and we were doing archery. And I just had this perfect shot and it went right into the bullseye. And I remember right before that shot, I was lining up with like angels, masters, teachers, God, guides, all of it. I was just like, yes. And I was in total Zen spiritual alignment flow. And that was the bullseye. And I think so many athletes, that's why they're good. Basketball players, pickleball, tennis players, like whatever you name the sport, they're good because they're so practiced at being in flow. And how do we be in flow is we're in alignment, we're meditative, we're sourced by something bigger than ourselves, we're at one with ourselves, we're at one with the universe. And all of those things happen when I'm doing Reiki, when anyone is doing Reiki. That's what we're putting ourselves in. We're putting ourselves in that Zen space of letting go and letting God, letting go and letting masters, just the surrender, like you were just talking about, of just like being present. I actually, of course, want for the highest and best good, but I don't have an agenda when I'm doing Reiki, which is what's so beautiful about it, is I just give it over highest and best good. So the intuition is more about like, how long am I going to spend on this person's head with when I'm doing a hands-on session? You know, am I going to then move after 3 minutes or 10 minutes? There's that sort of intuition, and that is listening with your hands. And that's a skill that takes practice. And I think there's a sense of listening with your hands when you're doing pickleball. And so it's not a strategy, it's a listening. Their body and the energy will tell me when to move. And then in terms of intuition, it's interesting, the topic of intuition with breathwork is that it just brings us into the natural rhythm and flow of the whole universe. So our intuition is 100% turned on with breathwork, with Reiki. And then with Akashic, when I teach people how to read their Akashic records, how to tap into the wisdom of their team on the other side, is it's all about actually discerning between your intuition, your everyday sort of like common sense intuition, which we all have, and what is this sort of zoomed out perspective that we get when we open the Akashic Realm, as we get to see things from like an aerial viewpoint, a perspective that's not anything to do with our personality or our ego or what we think we might say or do. It's a perspective that's like ultimately for our highest and best good, unconditionally loving, totally understands us, sees us, loves us. We're so easy to love, and just is, there's no time, there's no space, and just sees that from that perspective. So we discern when I'm teaching Akashic, like, what is your intuition telling you? And there's overlaps. There's overlaps between our intuition and the Akashic wisdom, like similar, but just told in a different way. This is so fun.
It is, but I have so many questions. I'm just like, oh my gosh, tell me more, tell me more. So Akashic Records, can you explain this in simple terms so that I understand? Like you mentioned team, and I love the idea of a team behind us, but yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll unintentionally tap into the Akashic Realm, the Akashic field, Akashic Records, all these names for it, right? So unintentionally, you could be tapping into it and not even knowing it, but once in a while, maybe you get this hit of a perspective that's a higher perspective that's not from your ego personality, where you're just, people talk about like downloading information. And I'm sure, Charlotte, you've had these moments. You're such a wise, spiritually attuned person. I'm sure you've had so many moments, whether it was like when you were younger and you were talking to the fairies, or now when you're leading big groups of women, like you're so in the zone. So it's with a prayer and with certain teachings, you're able to predictably tap into that higher perspective. So I was tapping into it unintentionally when I was doing Reiki. I didn't even realize that one of the Reiki symbols taps you into the Akashic. For years, I didn't know that. I was like, oh my gosh, I was teaching a Reiki class and I just was reading to the students about this symbol and how it taps you into the Akashic. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's a way to predictably tap into infinite wisdom, meaning So there's a plasma that surrounds every living thing. And just like we're recording right now, this plasma is always recording. So imagine if you could touch that plasma, tap into that plasma, access that plasma's information. That's one way of understanding it. And all of this is trying to grasp at something that you just have to experience, right? Like trying to describe how it tastes when you eat something. But the other way of understanding it is through this prayer and opening the heart and through what are called the eyes of the Lords of the Records. There is an access point where you can talk to a team that is ready and willing to talk to you and only going to show you what you are ready and wanting to see. But there is a team of masters, teachers, and loved ones. And so these are entities on the other side that we can't see, of course, but that are there. And they want to help us and they want to show us perspectives that we're ready to see. And that could be past life information, past life perspectives. That could be looking at the vibration of 3 different choices you have right now. That can be looking at future possibilities as opposed to a psychic reading, which is sometimes fear-based, like, oh, I'm so scared what's going to happen. Tell me the whole future. But actually, as we know, the future is not written in stone because we have free will and we make these decisions. Every thought we have, every action we take, we're making new decisions that can lead a completely different trajectory. And so we have complete free will, but so we can look at all of the possibilities when we're in the Akashic are like flung open to us to see, oh, here's what's possible. So it's something that's really beautifully unique to each person when they have a reading or when they're learning how to open the Akashic records, because everyone perceives differently. So me as a practitioner, I perceive in so many different ways. We won't go into it right now. My teacher perceives in mostly just knowing, like you talked about. You said, I think, and then you changed it to I know. And that knowing is one of the main ways that we can perceive the Akashic.
Your whole energy, honestly, Siri, is presence. It's that all-knowing and that presence and that connecting into something greater than ourselves. I hear so many people saying, I'm second-guessing myself. I don't trust myself. I have this voice that is questioning these limitless possibilities that we all have. We all feel that connection to something greater. I feel that. And when I am most connected to source, universe, divine, whatever our choice of word is for that, I know that's when I feel most in alignment. My energy is in flow. I feel that peace and that ease and surrender. You mentioned surrender. And I think that translates into all areas of life. It translates onto the pickleball court. It translates into my relationship with others, my husband, my children, my friends, the stranger that I'm yet to meet. I love what you're saying. It's beautiful. It really is. It feels so grounding. And again, bringing it to the pickleball court, I know when I second guess myself, maybe when that ball is flying up in the air and it's on its way down and I can see exactly where that ball is going. And then another voice comes in and says, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that because you might miss it and the wind is blowing and it could take it this way. And I don't. And then, of course, I mess up. That usually is what happens. That can also relate into so many different areas in life as well. But when I trust myself, even the imperfect shots feel right because I have tapped into whatever that is that's greater than me. What does it mean to you to help somebody claim their authority in a healing space? And how do you know when someone has really embodied that shift?
Well, like you just said, you were noticing in me when I was talking about the Akashic is one of the ways is you just see it in their face. You hear it in their voice. They are embodied, meaning they're not trying to figure it out in their head. I love empowering women to trust their power. I guess that's what the word empowerment means. It's like getting people to trust their power. There's nothing better than women who are claiming what they know. All of these modalities could really be summed up as a way of helping people to claim their power to be their most expansive, authentic self so that they can serve with their gifts. And everyone's gifts are so unique to them. So it's not one size fits all. Not everyone's meant to be a Reiki healer. Not everyone's meant to be an Akashic practitioner. Not everyone's meant to be a breathwork facilitator or do breathwork. Of course not. Also, these are inroads to getting to our empowerment, to getting to that place of trust and just going with that first instinct and knowing that it's going to go exactly where it needs to go when I just walk as if I know the road is already there in front of me.
Yeah.
So I love seeing, just like you, Charlotte, I love seeing women light up. I love seeing women in their power. I love seeing the way that a woman looks after she's had a breathwork class. It's just beyond the gorgeousness because she's just her full, unfiltered, raw, pure self. When I first got attuned when I was a teenager from my mom, the way the masks and what energy for me, it was anger, like crumbles and sloughs off when we're connected to our highest and best good, like when we're connected to truth. That's everything. It's just the most beautiful thing. And when we are in our most aligned, authentic, expansive, homeostatic self, that's when we're going to serve the world the best. We're going to be the lighthouse. We're going to shine. We're going to liberate others.
I think I really resonate when you talk about anger. For many years, I felt so angry about so many different things. My mum died when I was in my 20s. She didn't get to see me be married or my children. I was very angry about that. My dad passed away very soon after my mum did as well. And there was a lot of anger I carried around for a long time. And I really want to share this because I think it's so important for people who feel like, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forward. I'm carrying these burdens. And I love what you say about connecting to source. And the peace that I feel now, I wake up every morning like, oh my gosh, the anger, it just melted away. And I know that may sound crazy to people, but it honestly, it did when I connected to that higher power, something so much greater than me. And I got out of my own way. And I love that you mentioned there are so many different vessels, there are so many different ways, vehicles to get to that place. And there's breath work and there's Reiki and there's yoga. And another thing I want to mention is fun. Because when I started to be like a child again and give myself permission to have fun, and that honestly was on the pickleball court, and I was frustrated because I didn't know how to play. And I nearly quit, but my husband said, no, let's keep going. I love this. Let's keep going. And we pushed and we encouraged each other. And that's one of the things I love about pickleball is the joy. It's so playful. I can be silly. It's a silly game. Some people take it very seriously, but I can be silly. And it brings me back into my body in the best way possible. So even when I'm not playing well, I'm still having fun, connected to other people, connected to myself, connected to source. So do you think people underestimate the role of joy in healing work?
I mean, we're all just trying to get back to that little girl who was seeing the fairies. It's like they say youth is wasted on the young, because when we're younger, all we want to do is grow up. All we want to do is like be tall enough to ride the roller coaster. We want to be old enough to drive the car. We want to be old enough to go to the movies by ourselves. And then we get older and all we want to do is not have responsibilities and be able to play and have fun again, and to be able to take a nap like we were supposed to do, but we didn't want to do when we were younger. And we're like, please, could I just have a nap? So I think that's a beautiful thing and I've been seeing this meme, I'm sure you've seen it a lot on Instagram, of like, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is have fun. And I love that pickleball brings you to that youthful, joyful place, even when you're not winning, because anything that brings you there, that is the most healing vibration. And just being in that vibration of playfulness and fun and joy and movement, and also like partnership, because it's so much about partnership and that communication on a nonverbal level of like you just glance and they know, and then like we're working together, we're moving together, and we're cooperating. And then that kind of puts you on your edge too with having opponents and getting to really have that fun kind of juice of like the competitiveness, but also this along with the playfulness. So I think that's so exciting. You're, of course, making me want to play pickleball, but definitely amusement. Like one of my meditation teachers, Michael Tamora, that I had for years and years and years, that we used to sit in meditation for hours, and he would just crack jokes the whole time while we were meditating. And it was all spiritual jokes, but it was just lighten up. Angels take themselves lightly. That's why they can fly, right? So yes, thank you for that reminder. I'm just thinking of the hummingbird and how hummingbirds mean joy and like just to lighten up. That is the most healing thing we can do for sure. For sure. I agree.
And even if it's just dancing around your kitchen.
Yes.
Here's my challenge for today. Put that song on, put it on loud, and dance like nobody's watching.
My favorite.
Okay, I have a question for you, and I know you haven't played pickleball yet, and you can think of this in ping pong terms if you want.
Yes.
If you could play pickleball or ping pong with anyone at all, whether they're living or they've passed on, maybe fictional, famous, or maybe personal to you, who would be your dream doubles partner and why?
Okay, I don't know any like famous pickleball player. Maybe you're Charlotte. Maybe you're my dream pickleball partner.
I love that. Yes, let's play together. You can come up to Canada, or I'll come down to you.
Yes.
There's a long line of people that I would really like to play with. I would love to play with Brené Brown. I mean, she is a hardcore pickleball player.
Yes, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yes, she was on a podcast and she was talking about pickleball. She would be amazing.
I bet she's super competitive too.
She probably is. Yeah. I'm visualizing her now because she says she puts on her cargo pants, and I think she said trucker hats.
She means it.
She does mean it. But I think we would have fun and we'd have some amazing chats on the court. Of course, I could be 100% vulnerable with her.
I love her book, The Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah,
I love Brené Brown.
Yeah,
that's great. That's a good one.
Yeah, so either her, and then the other person that came into my mind, and you're going to laugh, is Paddington Bear.
That's the Brit in you. Yeah.
The Brit in me, for sure.
Yes.
And marmalade sandwiches. But so quirky. And I can just see him doing this amazing backhand. And then if the opponent, if they annoyed him, he would just stare at them in that real Paddington Bear
stare. Yeah. Well, I think that we need to incorporate this somehow into the next Paddington movie. I mean, if it's not already there, it needs to happen. Yeah.
Paddington Bear plays.
We'll send a memo.
Yes, I love that. We have an idea there, Siri, definitely. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I would love for you to come back on. Let's continue this conversation. You are hosting a couple of retreats that are coming up. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about the energy of love and healing, and that is what I'll be teaching. I'll be teaching first and second degree Reiki practitioners how to be Reiki practitioners. And I say that because we're already doing it. Everyone already is in this flow of energy, and this is just like a fine tuning. So that's July 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It's at my home in Camas, Washington, which is 20 minutes from the Portland International Airport. We have 7 of us right now. We have a Reiki chef that's going to be doing all the beautiful Reiki-infused meals and teaching us Reiki cooking. So excited about that. And I've just made room for a few more women to come and get that certification. So you walk away with those tools and you can infuse that into your home, into your practice, into your coaching, into anything that you're doing. So that's really a beautiful, exciting thing that's coming up. And then September 29th to October 2nd, we're having a Goddess of Light retreat, which is like an amalgamation of transformational breathwork, Reiki, cacao ceremony, getting in the hot tub, going on a waterfall hike, having a sound bath. We've had private concerts in the past. I was just crying the whole time during the private concert last time. So that's going to be wonderful. If anyone has questions about either of those, you can reach out to me, ask me. I'll get on a call with you. We can talk about anything you want to talk about.
That sounds wonderful. And where can listeners find you, Siri?
You can email me, siri@sageandblushwellness.com. I'm on Instagram, Siri Baruc Thornton. I'm on Facebook, Siri Baruc Thornton. So however you want to find me.
And we will drop those links in the show notes as well so that people can find you easily. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor. And I just love talking to you. Your energy is amazing. I know we have so much more to talk about, so I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Thank you. Oh, and P.S., I'm going to have a code for your listeners, and it's going to be CharlotteFriend. So if they want to use that code, they can get $100 off of either of those retreats.
That is so generous of you. Wonderful. And we will put that in the show notes too. Thank you so much, Siri.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thanks so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Anything mentioned, including links, notes, and a full episode list, will be over on our website at pickleballandpartnership.buzzsprout.com. If you got something out of this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe to Pickleball and Partnership on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that you are notified of new and upcoming episodes. And if you're finding value in this podcast, a cost-free way to support us is to leave a 5-star review. It truly means the world to us. This will help more people access these real conversations. And if you haven't connected with myself or Neil personally, we would love to meet you and say hi over on our Facebook page. Thanks again for listening. Please tune in next week for another exciting episode of Pickleball and Partnership. Remember, we're all learning, growing, and showing up in our own ways, and that's what matters most.